Oh my God. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, when my husband and I were in Altadena, we went to a community where all the homes were left in ashes. This mom had found a couple things, and as I was talking to her, I turned and looked and I saw this young woman and I said, "Oh my gosh, how old are you?" She's 15. She lives there. And her mom shared something with me and said that when they came back to see their house for the first time, which was as we were meeting them, that all that she'd been looking for in her home was the t-shirt from the Billie Eilish concert that she had just gone to, that she left in the washing machine or the dryer. And of course, they now see their home and the washing machine and the dryer are ash. They're not there anymore. And so I said, well, I don't know Billie Eilish, but I'm gonna figure out how to get you this shirt. So I thought of everybody that I knew and I made a voice note and I was like, please, can someone get this voice note to Billie Eilish? Here's what I'm asking. You guys, I don't even know what all of this stuff means, but it's signed for her. Is that a thing, the lunchbox thing? I don't know. This is when I feel really old. Huge thank you, Billie Eilish.
First of all, obviously, it's very nice of her to get this 15-year-old a Billie Eilish T-shirt and various other things. But to watch her video, her blog, it just looked like so everything's all fine, sort of like there's so much more awful things going on, and usually an act of kindness is better done just quietly without sort of blowing a trumpet about it. That's what I think. And so there was a lot of her sort of giggling and sort of excited about having obtained this stuff for this girl, which I'm sure was much appreciated. But nevertheless, her whole house is gone and her washing machine and all the other things that they mentioned have gone. It's a much bigger tragedy than a T-shirt. I think usually these sort of kind acts, and there's no question about it, she obviously went to some trouble to obtain the T-shirt and the other things for her, but they're much better done just quietly on the side and let other people find out about it years later and say, wasn't that a wonderful thing she did? Let's hope she's doing some other things too, because the whole of Los Angeles, or a large part of it, is in ruins. It's an absolutely desperate situation. I guess, to be fair to them, if they'd done nothing, they would have been accused of not sort of, throwing their weight behind the efforts to help people. So if they'd stayed in Montecito, I see that. I mean, I understand that. But then having gone there, they do have a habit whenever anything happens of sort of, as you rightly say, putting out a statement, which almost looks as though, we have to hear their views on it, which frankly, we're not really interested in. There's a much bigger picture going on. This has happened on several other occasions as well, when they put out a statement latching onto some big event that's happened, usually rather an unpleasant one. But as I say, I do see that, either if they go there, they get accused of making publicity out of it, and if they don't go there, they would get accused of, sitting in a 14, whatever it is, $1 million mansion, doing nothing to help people. So, I mean, I just hope that they're also helping people in other ways, because I'm sure they're capable of doing that, rather than just getting a T-shirt. It's all very Hollywood. I mean, perhaps it might be interesting just to say that, when the Grenfell Tower tragedy happened over here, obviously the Prime Minister Theresa May went along to visit the scene and was, of course, naturally, some people said making political headway out of it by going, because she's an elected person. Whereas when the Queen went, the atmosphere was completely different, because the Queen wasn't actually standing for election in any way. She was going to comfort her citizens and bringing with it all the other things that she'd done in the past, like going to Dunblane and Aberfan and everything. And I mean, I wasn't there that day, but I know people who were journalists who said it was unbelievably extraordinary, the atmosphere when the Queen was present. Now, you don't get that, of course, with Harry and Meghan, because in a sense they fall more into the Theresa May category. They're always having to reinvent themselves and having to do things which keep themselves in the public eye. So they're naturally going to be accused of that, even if their intentions are, incredibly genuine and sound, wishing just to lend a hand. The point is that our working royal family are not doing things for themselves. They are serving. They're doing things for everybody else. So they go out and do that. Now, politicians and celebrities have always got this danger that they're going to be seen as self-seeking making publicity for themselves and using a tragedy to their own advantage, which may or may not be fair, but that's going to be the case, I'm afraid. It goes back to this problem which they have, which is that they have to keep reinventing themselves and they have to keep in the news. And of course, okay, here we are talking about them. There will come a time probably when people will get bored of talking about them because what they do won't be particularly interesting. That time has not come yet. But in the meantime, it seems to me that they do everything possible to keep themselves in the spotlight, which of course is quite ironical, having left this country on the grounds that, the press were intruding too much into their lives. It's they're in a very tricky situation, and I don't think it's going to end terribly well, to be quite honest. In that world of sort of hits on websites and blogs and things, these names get noticed. I mean, but full marks for Billie Eilish's team for coming up with that box and producing it so efficiently. It was only a few days ago that they were there. So Billie Eilish comes out of this very well, I think. They have to keep reinventing themselves. They mention all these names. You know, she did she did go home and she did follow it up, which was very much to her credit, and she did produce the goods. And I'm sure the girl will get her box of Billie Eilish, t-shirts and signatures and all the other things that seem to be in that box, and that's good. But it would have been nicer, I think, if it had just been done quietly. I mean, Billie Eilish herself is the one who comes out of it well, and it could have been done in a way that, listen, I'm just thinking aloud, the message could have gone, Billie Eilish, could you send direct to this lady, this girl? Who knows? There's a world out there which I don't quite understand, which is this world of, social media influencing and things like that, where it seems to me that there are a lot of people who can get an enormous number of followers, a number of people who can get an enormous number of followers and, produce their wares, whatever they happen to be, or promote themselves or whatever. And they are definitely heading in that direction. I mean, that's their world. That's just the celebrity world. And of course, as I've said before on several occasions, the reason that we take an interest in him is because of who he is. Prince Harry is a well-known figure. He was a member of the royal family. We know a lot about his life. We know about his early traumas and the loss of his mother. So we have a lot of sympathy with him. We know he served in Iraq. We know he set up the Invictus Games. We know all these things about him, and it's because of him that she gets all this publicity, and that's what they're exploiting.